Today we are going to take an exciting project. We'll build a complete Android application from scratch using the MVVM architecture, all while adhering to the solid principles and leveraging HILT for dependency injection. But first, let me show you what we'll be creating. So here's the application which we are going to build. So this will get the list of drinks from the remote server, and if we click on any drink, it will show us the details of that drink, again fetched from the server. And we'll implement features like data binding, live data updates, efficient data handling. And don't worry if you run into issues. See this error here? I'll show you step by step how to troubleshoot and resolve this using best practices. So let's dive in and start coding. So first thing first, here is the diagram of the MVVM architecture. So in this diagram, as we can see, we have model, view, and then view model. And then we have views, view model, and this is the repository and the data sources. So we will be using only the remote data source and getting the data from a remote API from the web server. And we will be using this example cocktails database that is available publicly online, and we will be creating two screens from it. So first of all, in the first screen, there is a list of drinks that will be available to the user, and clicking on each drink, ID will be passed to another drink and the details of that drink will be shown. So let's get to the coding and start the implementation. So I'll be creating a new project with the empty views activity, and let's name it as cocktails. So rest of the things will be default. Hit finish and wait for the project to be completed. Build, and project is now built. So now we have a one activity application, that is main activity, and its view is hello world given by the Android Studio, the example project. So first of all, let's add the dependencies in this one. So I'll be leaving this dependencies in the description down below, so you can copy it from there. And first of all, this is following the normal versioning. So we will be updating the dependencies versions here, and then using those dependencies in this right here build project. So first of all, let's update these dependencies. So in this application, we will be using HILT as a dependency injection and the other dependencies required by that. And for the remote data source, we will be using retrofit. So first of all, let's update these dependencies, and as you can see that dependencies have been added in the versioning, and now we have to update it in the build app.gradle. And then we have first of all, we have to update these plugins here. So let's add the plugins right here like so, and don't worry about this error. So after we hit sync, this error will be gone. So now in the app.gradle, we have to update these plugins, and then down below in the dependencies, we have these dependencies. All right, let's hit the sync now and synchronize the project. Okay, project is now built. Okay, so let's see the diagram and create a new packages from this one. So first of all, we have to follow this diagram, and we have to create a new package, that is view and then we have to create a view model package and model. So let's get to the Android Studio and head to the coding part and right click here, and then we have to create a new package, and that will be called as view. And then we have to create a new package, and this will be called what we can call it like so, view models. Oh, and no, it can be view, and to be exactly matching the diagram. And then we have model. So let's refactor this application code. This is the activity, and move it up to the view like so. And then we have to see first of all what will be the content that we have to create and display it in the views. So head to the remote data source. First of all, we have to show a list of drinks that can be a recycler view, and in each item we have to show the drink name, and then we have to show the thumbnail of that drink. That will be a URL of the image. All right. So let's head to the XML part of this one and quickly create a new recycler view right here. So this can be recycler view, and we will be using the height and width to be match parent. And then we have to create an ID for this one. This can be recycler view, and this can be cocktails. Okay, so after that we have to create an item for this recycler view. Head to the resources, layout, and right click here and create a new layout resource. That will be item underscore cocktail. All right, so in this item, what we have to use is, first of all, we have to show the drink name, and then we have to show the image of that. So first of all, wrap the content of the height, and we have to show the image that we can use app compat image view. And then we have what we can use is like 80dp, right? And then we have 80dp squared image, and we have to give it ID like IV thumb. Okay, and now we have to add the constraints to this one. It's top to top of like so. It's parent, and then we have to create start to start of parent, and bottom to bottom of parent like so. And then we have to create a title using the text view. That can be a text view, and we will be using the width as wrap content and height to be wrap content, and add the first of all add the ID for this one. This can be TV link name. We have to add ID rights this way, and then we have to use top to top of parent, and then we have to make it to the right of the image, so start to end of the above ID thumb. Okay, and now we have to make the end of parent and bottom to bottom of parent. All right, so let's add the properties of this one. First of all, let's add a dummy text right here. So we can use anyone. So I will be using it from the remote data source that can be afterflow. And let's style the text a bit. So I'll be using the predefined text appearance. This will be the headline. Okay. So I think that's good to go. So for every text, it will be centered like this one. So if we get appleberry smoothie, so for this one, this will be taking the whole line, but it will not look the right thing to show the text in the centered way in the list. So let's make it at left alignment, and what we can do is make it 0 dp so that it can take the whole width and make it a left aligned, along with giving the margin start to be, let's give it 5 dp. Okay, so I think that's good to go now. Just to check, we can use the default launcher for this one. Okay, so here we will be displaying a thumbnail of the drink, and then we have a name of that drink. And I think it's good to go now. All right, so recycler view have been created, and now we have to create another activity, another view to display the details of the drink for this data source. Right click here and create a new activity. This can be empty views activity. Let's name it as detail activity, and remove this extra part that can be confusing in the beginning right now. All right, so for this detailed activity, we have to add image at the top. So image will be retrieving from this image source or this thumbnail. So what we can use is, like, let's view how the thumbnail looks like for this one. So it's a very big image, so we can use it as it is. So first add a image view at the top, and it will be a bigger one, so the width can be mesh parent and its wrap content. And now we have to add a constraints for this one. Start with add of parent and to end of parent, like so. Okay, so I think it will be good to actually use that image available right here. Sorry, this one. And what we can do is save this image in the desktop, and we will use this exact image. In the raw label folder, just to view how the design looks like. So this is an example image, so we can name it as cocktail like so. Why is it giving me the error? I think it's because of the JPEG image. Yeah, I think so. Let's okay discard the error for right now because it's not disturbing us. So this one will be cocktail probable. Yeah, it is giving us the error. Highlight. Let's see the diagram. Insufficient image contrast ratio. That is okay. Let's convert it to this one, WebP, and you see it's if the error is gone. Yeah, the error is gone now, and now we can use this image. Okay, so contrast is basically because the width and height is not proper, so we can use scaling factor to be centered up. Okay, why is it the view? Let's see what is the error right here. So for this one, I didn't encounter this error before. Let's search what is the problem for this error. Okay, it's a warning, so we can skip this one just to save time. Okay, what it is saying that fix. It is saying that we have to click on fix and the error will be gone. So my friend, we can't see the fix right here. So let's skip this previewing right now and let's get to the coding right. So I think the view, oh sorry, we have to complete the details part. Okay, let's get to close these ones and open the detail activity, and we have an image at the top. And let's name this one as Ivy Bank Thumb. And now we have to show, let's see, name of that string, and then we have a category for this string. This is an ordinary string, and this can be, we can add as many details as we want. So the instructions, we can also show these instructions right here. So rest of the details we don't require currently. So if you wish, you can add more details and create a proper interactive application from this one. And all right, let's make it a homework for you. Okay. So what we want is, we have a couple of text views to show right here. That can be a text view. First will be the title of that image. There can be a match parent and wrap content, and then we have TV can be drink name, and then we have top to bottom of we drink thumb and start to start of parent and end to end of parent. Yeah, and now we have to use the style for this one. We can use heading, headline, and the text will be up still up here like this one. This can be smoothie. Okay, this is the title that we will be showing, and let's add a padding at the top. Okay, that's good. And now we have to add a new text field right here, and this can be the rank category. So this will be subheading, and it will be top to bottom of this string name. Sorry, the string name, yeah. And now we have a category for this one. This can be ordinary drink. Yeah, and let's repeat for the alcoholic or not. So what we can use is it alcoholic? Okay, so let's copy and paste it right here like so, and change the style for this one will be body. Okay, this the position will be top to bottom of this category, and repeat it for the instructions part. The instructions can be instructions, and let's make it body 2. It will be body 1 is good one, but for the alcoholic we can use body 2 because it's a bold style. And we have instructions right here like this one, and we can view and make this top to bottom of this one, and we have a detail of this string. All right, so I think the UI part is now completed. Let's close this one, and we have a project for this one. All right, so first of all, we have a main activity. In this main activity we have a view, which can be this one, activity or fragment, as you wish, but for the simplicity I'm using the activities only. So let's get to the model part. So in the model we have first of all the repository, and then we have a database that can be room or any other database, and then we have a data source, remote data source, that we will be using a retrofit that will be calling an API from here. Okay, let's first create packages for this model. So first of all we have a repository package, and then we have an other package, and this will be okay, so where we'll be adding the data sources. So data sources will be inside of this repository package, or we can move it outside. Okay, let's add a package inside a repository package that can be data. And then we have to create another package that will be source, that is data source. You can combine this one, but I used to follow this convention, and we will be using a remote data source only, so this will be remote. All right, so don't be confused with this one, and what we can use the appearance of this one like so. The tree can be arranged. And now we have a repository. In this repository we have our data, and the data, we have a sources of data that will be a remote data source. All right, so let's add a remote data source, and from the diagram we will be starting right here, and we will create a new remote data source. So let's see the remote data source. The first remote data source that we will be using is this API endpoint. So this will be returning us the strings list. So in this strings list, what we have a data source as a DTO for this return, and select all and copy this one and go to the Android Studio and add a new package for the DTO, and right click and add a new Kotlin data class from JSON. Okay, if you don't have this one, this is an extension, so you can download it from the plugins in the settings right here. So this will be plugins and marketplace, and you can download it, Kotlin data class like so. I have already downloaded it. So create a new data class from this one, and let's name it as drinks list. So I have configured it like this way, so it will add an annotation from the Moshi. So it will use the Moshi annotations and other things like add a DTO at the end of every class name. So this will be drinks list, and hit generate. As you can see, there is a new data class that it created. So this is the list of drinks DTO, and this is a item of that list. So far so good. Okay, DTO part is now completed, and now we have to create a new interface for this remote data source. What we will be calling it like create a new class interface, and this will be remote data source. So this will be giving us drinks list DTO. All right, so let's first create a service for this and create a new data class. Oops. I've created a Java interface. let's remove it and create a new Kotlin interface. Let's make it as drinks service. Okay. So this will be this is a simple get call for this API endpoint, and what we have is create a new suspend function, and this function will be named as get drinks. It will return as drinks list DTO. All right, and now we have to add a retrofit annotations to get retrofit, and we have to pass the endpoint URL but without the base URL. Okay, so this copy this part like so. Okay, so let's create a new retrofit instance for this one. You know what, let me think. So we can skip that right now, and we will add it later when we will be adding the hilt dependency for this data sources and other application parts. So we have created a drink service for this one. This will be returning us the list of drinks with this DTO, and now we have to create a new interface to make it a testable remote data source. Okay, so this, let's name it as remote data source, and this will be the interface. This will also suspend function like get drinks, and what it will do, it will give us the same drinks list DTO. And now let's create an implementation for this remote data source. So what we have here is create a new class and make it as remote data source implementation, and send it from this remote data source. Hit Control I, import the members, and now this is the get drinks from the remote data source, but right here what we have to call is this drinks service. So we have to create a constructor for this one and add a drinks service for this and call this service from this here. And here we have to return the drinks list DTO. So what we will be using is drinks service and get drinks. It will return us the list of drinks with that DTO. What we can use is directly return it from here, or we can use a try catch block to return the error message as we wish. But for now I am directly returning it this from here. Okay, So get to the diagram, and we have now completed this remote data source, and from here we are using a retrofit service, that is drink service. Okay, so after that we have to create a repository. All right, close it from here, and now right click and create a new data class, and this will be drinks repository, and this will be the interface. Okay, here the things will get interesting. Yeah, so important thing for the repository is the repository will be getting the data from the data sources, but view model will not know from where the data sources will be coming, because repository will contain only those models which will be required by our application. So the remote data source, what we get is from here. This one is the remote DTO giving us extra details from here, but our application currently don't require it. So as you can see, if I go to the view and head over the details part, we only have 1 2 3 4 5. We have 5 detailed items from this data source, but originally we have a lot of other things, but our application requirement is not this one, other things to show. So what repository will be doing, so repository will be returning us only the model classes required by our application. So now we have to create a model for this repository so that it can convert this remote data source into that model required by our application. All right, close this right here, and in the repository what we can use is create a new package for models, and in that model we have to create a new class that will be a list of strings, right? So let's see the remote data source that we are getting from here. So we require a list of drink DTO. If we go head over to the drink DTO, it will return us the drink which can be the item of that list. Okay, let's map this model into the repository models first of all. So let's make it as drink item. Make it as drink list item, and we have a data class for this one, and let's see which fields do we have. Okay, let's open it, right? So it will be easy for us to show. Okay, first of all, we are having a drink name and drink thumb and drink. So the good thing is we can use our own names in this app requirements. So this will be the drink name, it will be a string, and add a new item. This will be string thumb, and it will be a string, and then we have an ID for this one. This will also be a string. Okay, So now we have mapped this strings DTO remote data source model to our application model. So let's create a helper method to convert this model into this model. Okay. We'll create a new function and create two string list item. This will be string list and the items will be, so first of all is string name is str string, and then we have string thumb will be str string thumb, and we have an id for this, okay. Now we have to map this strings list DTO. So for this one, I don't think we require a model for this one, because we will directly use a list, and then in the type we can use string list item. Okay, so let's create a repository, strings repository. So in the repository it will be returning us the same method name strings, get strings, and but the return type will be the app requirements. So the model will be a list. Okay, so this will be strings list item. Yeah. So now let's add an implementation for this strings repository. Right click here and create a strings repository implementation. Extend it from strings repository. Import this one, the item. So how the repository will be getting the data from the remote data source? From this one, it will be same as like we have used for the remote data source, that we have used the strings service to get the data in the remote data source, and now we have to use the remote data source in the constructor, and then we have remote data source, and remember to use the interface right here. And now we can create a try catch block in this repository. So it will be a good thing to create a try catch block right here. So this will be strings DTO, and what it will be used is remote data source dot get strings, and now we have to map it to this repository model, which is required by our application. Head over to the repository implementation. Okay, so this will be a strings list, and what we can use is strings DTO dot the list of strings, and now we have to use a map for this one, so it will be giving us the string DTO. We have to simply use to string list item. Yeah. So it will be strings DTO will be mapped to the list of strings, which is a same requirement by our return type of this repository. Let's now return the strings list, and in the catch block what we can use is use the exception explicitly, and let's now return log the application. log the error message. Create a new tag for this one. I will use the companion object and tag and using this right here and get drinks and passing this one right here. And the error method is, in the error, what we can use is to return null. It will be instead of null we can send an empty list right here. So no, it will not be a good thing to return an empty list, because for the empty list, app will think that no data is returned instead of an error. So return null. It will surely give us an error like so, and return type should be a nullable like this. So what it will say that this is not returned null because the drinks repository is not returning null. Okay, so far so good. Okay, now we have created a repository implementation in here, and now after that all right, so now that we have completed the drinks repository implementation, so let's check out the diagram again. What is now we have to create. So in the diagram, the model is completed as we have implemented the repository implementation, and now we have to move on to the view model part. So before moving on to that, let's change the tree appearance to this one so that we can see clearly. All right, so model part is now completed, and now we have to create a view model for main activity. All right, so create a new Java class. Oh, okay, so the font is small, I think, so it just came into my mind. So let's resize the font up to the 18 will be good. I think now it's clear and bigger one, and you can see clearly the code. Okay, so now let's create a class in here. So this will be main view model. So this class will be extended from view model like so. And in the view model, what do we have to create and what do we have to add it here? So as we can see, the view model communicates with the model through the repository, and then we have to create a links to the view so that view can communicate with the view model. So first of all, we have to add a repository in the view model. So for this, we have to create an instance of main repository here. So this will be main repository. So make sure that it's an interface, not the implementation. Okay, so we have used the interface so that we can test out the implementation with the mock data also. Okay, so I'll close this one. And now, how do we have to communicate with the repository? So it's an easy thing. So first of all, when the view model is initiated, we have to call the repository to get the strings. Okay, so let's create a method here, get strings, and create a function. And now this function needs to be called in a view model scope. Now, as you can see, we have view model scope, and we have to launch it in the view model scope. And now we have to call this main repository and get the strings from it. Main repository get strings. So the strings data will be returned in here. This will be a list of strings. As you can see, this will be a list of strings, and it can be null also. So let's check that one. If it is not null, then we have to update it in the live data, so that it can be observed in the activity. And if it's not null, and we have to show the error to the user, or let's make it simple like so, and let's create a tag for this view model, and this will be const tag. And now we have to get a view model name. This will be an error, so let's update it with this one. And okay, so there it is. Okay, this can be classic sentence by the programmers. Oh. Now that we have to communicate it with the activity, so I'll create a instance variable for the flows, using the flows. So I'll prefer the flows because it's a newer and much more error handling. It uses the much more error handling than the live data. So let's create a flow for this one. So this will be strings. Flow, and this will be mutable. Okay, so I think let's create a live data for this one, and we have a mutable live data. And what will be the type for this one? So the type is list of string list item. So this will be string list item type, and we have to initialize it empty. And now there will be a public strings data, which will be, let's copy it this way, import this class, and this will be equal to strings, the private data. So this means that view cannot update the data directly in the view model. Instead, it can only read the data from the view model. So it's like immutable data in the main activity. Okay, so let's update it here. So this will be drinks dot post value. Value will be it. So now we have to add the main activity code right here. So first of all, we have to create a view model instance. In here, this will be private well view model. The type of it will be main view model. So let's make it as latent where. Okay, so in here view model equals to view model store dot it will be get. This will be main view model class. Why is it giving us error? Let's make it view model. Or it will be the view model provider. So this can be using giving us we have to pass the owner, which is this main activity, and now we have to get it view model, main view model, like so. Now that we have a view model, we have to create observers for this one. I'll prefer to use a method for this one, set observers. Now let's observe for the drinks. We have a life cycle owner, and it will give us the list of drinks. Okay, so here we have to update it, the list of drinks, to the recycler view. So let's create a method to set it in the view. Actually, it will only be a non-returning method. So here we have to call the recycler view. All right, so instead of set content view, I'll be using binding for this one. So let's check out first, do we have binding options enabled? So there is no binding in this one. Let's add an option for this one. This will be build features. So in here we have view binding equals to true and hit synchronize. Now we have to go to the main activity. Let's close this one, and instead of this r.layout activity main, we have to create a binding variable right here. So this will be latent where, and it will be val binding by lazy. So it will be main activity binding dot inflator will be available right here, layout inflator. So now we have to use this binding variable right here, binding dot, this will be root. All right, so now we have access to the recycler view, which is right here. All right, so now first of all, we have to create an adapter for the recycler view. So in this view, let's create a package for this one. This will be adapters, and in here we have to create a drinks adapter. So this will be extended from the list adapter. So this list adapter is a part of Jetpack library. So it's requiring us a item type, and then we have to pass it the view holder. So let's create a class for the view holder. So it will be drinks holder, extending it from the view holder of the recycler view, and it's requiring an item. So this will be binding. So binding will be item cocktail binding, which is same as this one. So this is the binding of this item cocktail binding, and we have to pass the binding dot root. Okay, so in here I like to create a helper method to populate the data. So this will be set data. So type of item will be a model, that is a drinks list item. So let's create this one. So this item model will be used in here. So this will be drinks list item. So this will be updating. First of all, we have to update the thumbnail. So thumbnail is this one, and now we have to call load. So let me just tell what is a load, what is this load, because this is a new thing. Actually, this is a part of coil library, which is an image loading library. So we have already implemented its implementation in the build.gradle, which is right here, image loading library bundles.coil. So go back to this one, and now we have to load the image. So image will be available in the drinks thumb as a URL, and then we have to update the name of this string, which will be this one. And now we have to we have to pass the item drinks list item in here, the type of drinks list item, and drinks holder. And now it's requiring us a defutils callback, and the two methods that we have to implement it from the list adapter class, on create view holder and on bind view holder. So let's create a diff utils class so that we can pass it right here. This will be item diff standing from the, so it's really difficult for me now to call back all the things from the views. So it says that it is requiring the diff util item callback. So just we have to pass it like so in this list adapter, and first of all we have to tell that if the item is new or not. So we have to use the, you can say, let's check out the whole item in here, and for the contents we have to check all the return all item dot id equal to new item dot id. Let's close this classes, and now we have to create a view holder for this one. Okay, let's return a rings holder. So what it's requiring a binding for item cocktail binding dot, we have to bind it from the inflator. So we can get the inflator from the layout inflator class, layout inflator dot from, and we can get the context from the parent dot context. So the parent will be parent, and dash to parent will be false. And we have created a dinks folder right here, and on binding this, first of all we have to get the item from this. So this will be list item, so it will be get item, and in that position that is passed right here. And it is giving us the holder, so just we have to call holder dot set data and pass this item to this folder. So next, the last thing is we have to add a click listener for this item. So the click listener will be on the holder. So this will be set on click listener, and in here we can pass the click listener through the callback. So let's create a callback right here. So the callback will be well on item click. This will be type of ranks list item and unit returning, and here we can call this with the item on item click, which is right here. Let's go to the main activity and create a binding create a variable for this one. So this will be ranks adapter let's make it as late init var. Okay, after setting the observers we have to set UI, For setting the UI, first we have to create an adapter. The instance of this adapter, this will be drinks list adapter, ranks list adapter, and it will give us the callback for the item clicked. And then we have to create a recycler view. It will be RV, and we have to create a layout manager. The layout manager will be linear layout manager, and it is requiring the context, and orientation will be recycler view dot vertical, linear layout dot vertical, and last, we don't want to reverse the list. Okay, so now for the RV cocktails adapter, we have to pass the drinks list adapter, and it's good to go now. In setting the drinks, so this will be drinks, and we have to set it to the adapter, and we have to call the submit list, which is part of the list adapter API. So that's now completed, and the last thing we have to create is, I think, yeah, on click listener for this drinks adapter. So this will be view models dot on drink click, and we have to pass the item. It is saying that we have not created this function, and it's true, and we have to create a function. This will be drink list item. Yeah, okay. Let's log this drinks list item currently. Okay, so we have completed the view model part as well as views part. So view will be communicating with the view model, and view model will be communicating with the repository. So let's check the code. It is working same as the diagram. Okay, we have a view model, and then view is, which is this activity. View is communicating with the view model using the on click listener on drinks click, and then initially when the view model is initialized, it will get the drinks from the repository. Repository will update the immutable live data, and view is observing that live data, and as soon as it's got the drinks of drinks list, and it will be updated in this adapter class. So far so good. Okay, so now let's wire up this view models with the repository, because in the view model we have used this default method that is available. So instead of this one, we have to use the hilt di library, so that it can automatically inject this repository class in the view model. So let's create a new package here. This will be di, and we have to create a new module for this one, this can be app module, an object. And before creating a model, let's first create a class, application class for our application cocktail. So this will be cocktail app. This will be extending from the application. Remove the extra things, we don't require it. So first of all, in every HILT application, HILT library requires an HILT Android app annotation for this one. So after creating an application class, don't forget to add it in the manifest. So the name for this one is cocktail app. Now go to the app module. First of all, we have to tag it with the module so that HILT knows it's a module. And now we have to install it in a component. So the components are basically scopings for the HILT library. So this is the app module. So in this app module, we have to create a remote data source instance, which is retrofit instance right here. So it will be in the singleton module. And now we have to add a provider for this one. So provide retrofit. So this will be returning the retrofit builder. And now we have to add a base URL for this retrofit builder. So base URL for the API is this thing, the cocktaildb.com, like so. And instead of adding it in here directly, I like to create a constants class for all of the things in the common package. So common, it will be an object of constants. So this will be constant val API base URL. This will be the, and now we have to use constant.base URL, and now we have to use the HTTP client. So it's requiring an OKHTTP client. So we have not provided it in here. So we have to add the annotations for this provider. So this will be provides, and we have to use the singleton scope. And now we have to create another provider for this thing. This will be in the singleton scope, and it will provide us HTTP client. So this will be returning us OKHTTP. And we have to call the builder, and now we have to add interceptor. So interceptors are basically the so interceptors are basically the middlewares that are that are processed before the request is sent to the server. We have already added the interceptor for this one, and we can see that it's a logging interceptor. So the logging interceptor is this one right here. Go back to this one, and we have to call the HTTP logging interceptor. And now we have to call build. What it's requiring is basically it will give us OK HTTP client. So we have to return it with the OK HTTP client, like so. So far so good. We have provided the OK HTTP client, and in here we have to pass the parameter for the OK HTTP client. As you can see that hilt is showing that it is now provided from this method. If we click on this, it will take us to this method. It means that it's working. Now we can pass it right here, and now we can add a converter factory. So converter factory is basically performing the job of parsing the response of the remote URL, which is this one. This is in JSON, so it will parse the response from the JSON and then create a data class automatically and map this response to that data class. So for this one, we have already added the converter, which is Moshi. So call it like so, Moshi builder, and we have to use the default one. Default one, we have a Kotlin JSON factory, and now we have to build it. Okay. So at last, we have to build the retrofit instance. So it will return as the retrofit instance. So let's make a return type as retrofit. So actually it is okay, sorry, I forgot. It should be a converter factory instead of a Moshi. So let's cut out this one, and this will be Moshi converter factory dot create. So we can use directly this one, this converter factory, or we can pass our own instance of Moshi builder to use the Kotlin JSON adapter factory. Alright, we have completed the retrofit remote data source, and after that at last we have to add a new provider, data singleton one, and which will give us the drinks service. It will require a retrofit instance, and return is the drinks service, like so. Okay, so we will use retrofit dot create a service, and we have to pass the service class for this here. It will create a drink service for us, and this will be used in our remote data source. So now let's jump back to the di package, and now we have to create a new data module for our repositories. So let's name it as data module. This will again a module, but it will be installing in the view model component, so that it will be destroyed as soon as view model is destroyed. Let's create a new provider, and this will be in a view model scope, and it will provide us the remote data source. First of all, let's track back our dependencies. First of all, we need a main repository for this view model, and this repository is the implementation of this repository is right here. So in this implementation, we are requiring a remote data source, and this remote data source is requiring us a drink service. So we have completed this drink service part in the app module, which will be provided from here. And now we have to create a remote data source in the data module. This will be a remote data source. So it will be requiring a drink service like so, and giving us the remote data source. Make sure it will be an interface, and it will return us remote data source implementation and pass this service. Now let's copy it again and use it for the repository. Provide repository. So our repository is requiring a remote data source, so which will be remote data source, and now it will return us the drinks repository. This will be drinks repository implementation along with the remote data source. So far so good. Now how we can make sure that in this main view model repository is passed. So for this one, we have to mark this view model as an hint view model, and then for this hilt view model, we have to add and inject annotation for this one, so that we can inject variables for us. And as soon as we have added a inject constructor here, we can see a little icon which will land us to this provides repository. It means that view model is properly getting the repository. Now instead of using the view model provider, we have to use the hilt view model. So it will be by view models lazily pass the class Alright, we can directly use the view model instead of using view model. Okay, this will be by view models. Remove it like so. and it will now by view models means that Hilt will automatically create a view model for us and inject those dependencies in the view model. So the last thing you must have remember is for every view like activity or fragment, we have to add the annotation which is Android entry point. This annotation is required by the Hilt. So now let's build the application. While this build is running, we can go to the diagram and see our implementations. So it will be the implementations are we have completed the view part, view model and model, and we have used the remote data source for this one. So the view is right here, and this is a view model for this view, and we have created a model right here, and in that model we have a drinks repository, and in that drinks repository the data source is a remote data source, and in the remote data source we have a remote data source service, the drink service, which is getting us the drinks. So in that service it will parse the drinks list DTO using the Moshi Converter factory, and it will give us the model class for this drinks list DTO. Okay, so if we go to the repository implementation, this drinks list DTO will be mapped to the drinks list item, which is an app requirement, so that it can discard the other extra things we don't require it currently. So build is now completed, so we can run the application, and the emulator is running right here. So it crashed. Let's check the Alright, so it says that internet permission is missing, so it's my mistake. Let's add the internet permission internet and complete. Let's run the application and clear the locket. Okay, beautiful. As we can see, the data is being returned in here. So if we click on each item, it will not be performing anything. Instead, it will be logged right here. So as we can see that drinks list item is clicked, and it's this one, and with that ID. Now we have to add the implementation for the drinks detail. All right, so just we have to go to the first drink service and add a new endpoint for that one. So the endpoint is beginning from the API until this. This is a list, sorry, this one, beginning from the API and until this one, and this will be I equal to this will be a query object in this URL. Just copy and go back here and create a new get request, add it right here, and this will be a suspend function. This will be get drink details. So for the return type DTO, we have to create this one. So let's update this. So this is a query, so we have to add an annotation for this one. So the query name is I, which is right here, and we have to pass it like ID is a string. So ID will be mapped in right here. Let's remove this one. So query will be automatically appended in the URL by the retrofit. Okay, so let's move on to the DTO and create a new detail drink item. Copy the whole JSON and go back to the DTO and right click Kotlin data class, paste it right here. This will be drinks detail. Okay, so this will be drinks detail DTO. It will give us a drinks detail, but instead it will be DTOX, which will be a whole details of that drink. So let's rename it because it's same as the other drinks DTO. So this will be str drinks alternate. So if we go back right here, this will be a null, but the name is suggesting it will be a string. So let's create it and it will be a nullable. Add the same for this other DTOs like so. Okay, you know what, and replace the whole DTOs thing by this. Okay, that's good. Now we have a drinks detail DTO. We can safely use it in right here. Import, and now we have to go back to remote data source and create a new suspend function for get drinks detail, and we have to pass the ID of that drink, and which will return is drink detail DTO. So in the implementation, we will surely be having an error. Implement the members right here, and in this one we can get drinks detail, pass the ID, and now we have to go to the drinks repository. So in the drinks repository, we have created a model class for our our repositories. So this will be the requirement of our application. So what we will be requiring is, if we go to the layout of the drink detail, so we are requiring a Why is it giving me like this? Okay, height is wrap content. Okay, let's make the height to be 200 dp. Okay, so previously it was giving us an error. I don't know why, but it has now fixed it. Strange things happen in programming. Okay, we are requiring 1 2 3 4 5 things. So now let's create a model class for this. Let's name it as bring detail. Let's open it in the splitting and go back to the drinks detail DTO, which is this one. So in this drink detail, we will be requiring an ID of that drink, which will be a string, and then we will be requiring a name for that drink and some URL for that one, and then we will be requiring as where is our drink detail layout? Yeah, so in this layout we will be requiring a ordinary drink, which is a category. So let's add a category which is a string, and then we have alcoholic. All right, let's make it a boolean, make it a string instead of that. Okay, so the last thing is the instructions for this string. Okay, that's good. Now let's go to the drinks DTO and create the same helper method to convert it to the drink detail. To drink detail, so first of all we have to pass the ID drink, then we have to pass name of that drink, str drink. The name will be str drink. Next is we have to use the str drink thumb. Then we have to use the category is str category, and is it alcoholic? Okay, then we have to use instructions like so. Okay, let's add names with the arguments. So all arguments and put it in the separate lines. Now let's go back to the repository, and in here we have to get drink detail. We have to pass the ID, and it will be returning us the drink detail. It will be nullable. So in the implementation of this repository, we can use the same try catch. It will be drinks detail DTO and giving us from the remote drink detail pass the ID, So here we can convert it to the drink detail, and this will be drink detail DTO drinks, and now we have to map it. Actually it will be giving us only one drink, so get the first item of that list, and this will be to drink detail. And then we have to return the drink detail, and in the cache block we have create exception. If any exception occurs, like if there are no drinks returned, it will be a null, so nullable will be cached right here, and in that case we have to return null. Okay, this is now completed, and now close these extra things and go to the view model. Now whenever the drink is clicked in here, we have to call the repository again in the view model scope, and it will give us a drink detail. Oops, so this is not good. Actually we have to pass this drinks list item ID to the another screen, which is drinks detail, this one, detail activity. Okay, let's add things in here. For the binding variable, let's create a binding variables, binding by lazy activity detail binding dot inflate will be layout inflator. And for the view model, same as the view models. So we have not created the details view model. Let's go and create a detail view model. Extend it from the view model and pass the same repository implementation, main repository, which is a drinks repository. So make it hilt view model and inject this repository. So okay. So in this view model, we have to create a function to get the drinks detail. Get drink details. It will be getting the ID of that drink. This will be launched in view model scope and main repository, and the drink details ID is here. As soon as we have got the drinks detail, we have to pass it in the mutable live data. So it will be drink detail mutable live data. So it will be a drink detail, initialize it with empty. So this drink detail will be like this. It can be nullable, so Let's check null again. If it's not null, then we have to pass it to this one, else we have to show that it's an error. Create a tag for this string view model. This will be error in breaking dates. Okay. Tag it with error, and let's create a immutable live data. Copy paste and underscore drinks detail import this. And now after that we have to use drinks view model. That will be detail view model. Now let's call a constructor from this one, and instead of using r.layout we have to use binding.root. Same as the other one, we have to create a method that observers and observe that from the view model drinks detail observe owner is this, and it will be giving us the drink detail. So let's create a method populate drink detail. Like so. Okay, so in here we have to bind it with the IV drink thumb is load. It will be drink detail dot thumb. Actually, let's check like this. It will be binding dot TV drink name text equals it dot name. Duplicate it couple of times, and then we have TV drink category. For this one is category, and then we have alcoholic, and then we need instructions. Okay, it's good. So now how can we pass the drinks detail to this ID of this drink detail from the main activity? So what I will do is, instead of using the on drink clicked, I will be creating a new intent, which is the first one is package context is this one, and now the name of their detailed activity class Java, and in here you have to add a bundle to this one. your set, this will be a bundle it will be put extra, and now we have to use the name of this will be drink ID. This will be getting the ID from here, like so. When the activity is created, and it will be passed a drink ID to the detail activity. So in the drink detail activity, we have to get that detail like drink ID and get it will be intent and get string extra, and we have to pass the key of this right here. Now we have to call the view model dot get drink details with the drink ID. So the ID is nullable also, so we have to use that one in here. Okay, I think so it's good now. Let's add a breakpoint right here and run the application in the debug mode. Okay, I think it will give us an error because we have not added the annotation for the Android app, built Android app, as we have did for this one. Okay, click on this one, and we have created a ID. So that's good. ID is now being passed to this one, but it will give us an error, I think. Yeah. So it is saying that unable to start this activity because new model cannot be created by default. So the view model is not created because the main repository is being injected, and currently hilt does not know how to create this view model. So this will be hilt Android app. Now let's run the application and see if the error is gone. Okay, must extend. Oh, sorry, it's not an Android app. It will be Hill's Android entry point. My bad. Okay, let's run the application again. Click this one, and is it updating? I don't think so. Or we have clicked bananas troubleshoot. No, it is not updating it. Let's check why is it not updating. Run the application in the debug mode again. Okay, Click on it and we have the ID, and now go to the details activity and add a breakpoint right here. So it's getting the details. Click on here and go to the implementation, hit a breakpoint right here, and we have gotten to this point and get it from here. Yeah, okay. So why is it not returning us the data? Let's check the logs. Error in getting the details. So why is it giving us the error? Okay. So in the app module, we have added the loggings, which is this one. Okay, so let's update the logger so that it can give us the detailed logging also. So let's add a label for this one, which will be http logging interceptor.label.body. It will be a detailed logs. Hit the application, run the application again and go back to the logs. All right. So as we can see that we are getting a detailed log for here. So call is made to get all the list of strings, and then we are getting the list of strings like so. That's good. Now we have to click on this one and in all of that logs. So the ID is passing correctly. Endpoint strings. Okay. It has returned the string detail, but the parsing is not being done correctly. Okay, so let's run the application again and see where the error is coming. And okay, here is the repository implementation, and then we have a remote data source which will give us the string detail, and this is simply the string service, right? So let's see if there is an exception occurs. So the exception is being caught at here. All right, so we are not making logs right here, so we can add a log for that exception and simply put it this one. And now let's run the application again and see where the error is being bring. Okay, click on this one and yeah, the exception is raised. It is because non-null value is required for str tags, but it was null. So why is this giving us? Let's go to the DTO, which is this strings DTO. So it is saying that str tags is a null value, Null value is str tags. Where are you? Yeah, this one. So it is saying that we have created it as non-null value, but the null is returned from the API. So let's replace it with this value, and now let's run the application again. All right, so these things happen because API will give us unexpected data. So now here we are again, and we are getting this time for striva. So we have to replace all of these with a non-null values, unexpected things. So let's make it like replace all of these values with this one and replace all. And now it shouldn't be the problem, I guess. Yeah, so the problem here we have is the id str drink is non-null value, and but we are giving it as nullable value. So we have to update our models like so. All right, so let's run the application one more time, and this time it should be running successfully. So here we have application, and let's open the logcat also. Click on this, and yeah, the details are being updated correctly. So this is a banana cantaloupe. I don't know how to pronounce it. So it's the category is other or unknown non-alcoholic. And let's see for the apple karate. Yeah, that's correct. So guys, that's it for today. Don't forget to hit like button, and don't forget to subscribe the channel to get more videos like this. And if you enjoyed this video, this type of videos, the whole project creation with the debugging session also, so do comment out so that I can make more videos like this. Thank you. See you next time.